Understand solving an equation or inequality as a process of answering a question. Which values from a specified set, if any, make the equation or inequality true? Use substitution to determine whether a given number in a specified set makes an equation or inequality true. That's 6EE5. Let's review inverse operations. Remember that addition and subtraction are inverse operations. And what that means is if I add 5 and then take away 5, I end up with the same answer that I started with, like an identity. Multiplication and division are also inverse operations. If I multiply something by a number and then divide by the same number, I end up back where I started. So those operations can be thought of as undoing one another. Let's solve this equation using inverse operations. So first thing to remember is that an equation is like a balance with two sides. The equal sign divides the two sides. So I usually try to draw a line down the middle just to remember that I've got two sides here to work with that are equal to each other. So I'm going to look at my variable x, and what's being added to x is 5. What I want to do is get rid of that plus 5 by using the inverse. So I'm actually going to take away 5. That's the inverse of plus 5. To keep my equation balanced, I'm going to have to take away 5 from this side as well. Otherwise, my equation won't be balanced. So when I plus 5 minus 5, those inverse operations actually cancel each other out. And all I have left on this side of the equation is x. And over here, 11 minus 5 is 6. So my solution is x equals 6. To check that, I'm going to put it back into the equation in place of x. 6 plus 5 equals 11. Therefore, I know that x equals 6 is the correct answer. Here's a subtraction equation. Let's draw our balance line. One side I have x minus 5. On the other side I have 7. So the opposite or inverse of minus 5 is adding 5. So I'm going to do the opposite so that I can get rid of that minus 5. But to keep things balanced on this equation, I want to do the same to both sides to keep my equation balanced. So x equals 12. Let's test it and see if it works. 12 minus 5 equals 7. That is true, so I know that x equals 12. This equation, 5x equals 35, is a multiplication equation. Remember, 5 and x, the coefficient 5, is being multiplied by the variable x. But it's still an equation, so I'm going to draw my balance line. And the inverse of multiplication, I know, is division. So instead of multiplying by 5, I'm going to divide by 5 to undo that. I'm going to divide both sides by 5 because I need to keep my equation balanced. So multiplied by 5, divided by 5, those are inverse. So x equals 7. 35 divided by 5 is 7. Let's test that and see if it's true. 5 multiplied by, I'm going to put 7 back into the equation in place of x. 5 times 7 equals 35. That's true, so I know that my solution of 7 is correct. Let's look at this division equation. Remember, a fraction is also a division equation. This is x divided by 7 equals 8. So it's an equation. I'll put my balance line in. I have two sides, x divided by 7 on the left and 8 on the right. The inverse of divided by 7 is multiply by 7. So I'm going to use the inverse to solve this one. Divided by 7 times 7 leaves me with just x. Those two cancel each other out. And 8 times 7 gives me 56. Let's test that and see if it's true. Put 56 back in place of x. 56 divided by 7 equals 8. Let's see if that's true. 56 divided by 7 is 8. So I know that 56 is the solution to this equation. For more resources, visit www.toddcaulfield.com.